New Thought Media Network proudly presents Having Courageous Conversations, where real talk dives deep. Each week we go beyond surface talk. We open our hearts, speak our truths, and dive into the stories that shape us. No scripts, no filters, just powerful, unforgettable conversations about life, purpose, healing, and truth. Join the conversation, because your voice belongs here. Please like, share, and subscribe. Check out our YouTube channel at Having Courageous Conversations or email us at yourshowyourvoice@gmail.com. Now, let's have a courageous conversation.
The views and opinions of our guest and hosts do not necessarily reflect those of New Thought Media Network, or any organization we may be affiliated with. Here at New Thought Media Network, we welcome freedom of speech and courageous conversations. There are many topics that can be difficult to navigate. Challenging the status quo and engaging in lively debate is important to expanding our understanding of one another, and life in general. Creating a peaceful world doesn't happen because no one disagrees, it happens from a willingness to understanding one another. In our programming, we strive to expand consciousness and assist people in creating remarkable lives. Your comments are welcome at info@ntmedia.org.
Welcome everyone to Having Courageous Conversations, where we explore meaningful topics that invite us to grow, reflect, and expand our understanding of ourselves and of one another. I'm Cheryl, and as always, it's a joy to be here with you. And today's conversation invites us into deeper curiosity about awakening, enlightenment, and what it truly means to know who we are, to know who I am. And with that, I'd love to invite my wonderful co-host, Mark, to introduce our guest today.
Thank you, Cheryl. Yes, and I will ditto it is a joy to be here, truly a joy to be here. And I'm so grateful that Russell has decided to share time with us today. We were having a lovely conversation before the show started. Russell is a reformed dogma-holic. I'll ask you to explain that one later. Who experienced disabling back pain from sitting at the feet of too many gurus. Wow. After his recovery, he had a profound awakening experience using a method called assisted self-inquiry. Since then, for the last 40 years, he has led hundreds of retreats, assisting people who have lost their hearts in life to find their inner spiritual teacher and walk in beauty and contentment of their true selves. He is the author of a best-selling book, Awaken the Guru Within, and an accomplished singer and songwriter. Wow. He gets great joy watching people in his retreats fall off their chairs in fits of laughter. We had some laughter before the show, and then realize who they are. What if enlightenment isn't something distant or reserved for a select few, but something deeply human, accessible, and even joyful? Russell, what if? Tell us what if.
Well, I've just witnessed so many people like you, me, listeners, ordinary people have these deep realizations. So it's not a what if anymore. It might be what if for somebody, but there is a more modern method of people having these awakening experiences than what have been taught to us in the East.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't have to meditate in a cave and do all these ablutions for months and months and months in order to have this experience. it's accessible to all now
Mm-hmm.
with, you might say, new meditation technology. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm here to basically give you some good news that anyone can have these kind of experiences, and more than likely, when we talk more about it, people might recognize, yes, I did have an awakening experience, but I didn't know
Mm-hmm.
it.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Awesome.
So many
Do you want
people
to tell
think,
us your
oh, yeah,
your,
go
your
ahead.
enlightening experience? What is your
Sorry.
enlightening experience, if you care to share?
Oh, yeah, that's a good
How
one,
are
Mark.
you enlightened? What came? Thank you. What came
Well,
up for you? Like, how did you share?
well, there. I'll have to preface just by saying there's more than just one enlightenment experience. There's an enlightenment experiences on who am I, what is life, what is love, what are others. There are all kinds of different depths of these experiences, but I'll share them. I've had a number of them. I've been blessed with a number of them, and I had one when I was actually 18, before I was involved in any sort of spiritual growth. I grew up in Thunder Bay, and
Mm,
uh, those of you that have been to Thunder Bay, Ontario, may recognize that out in the lake there's something called the sleeping giant landform. It's like laying down. In the native tradition, they call it the Manabiju, which means the Great Spirit. And I lived on the outskirts of town. I used to go in off in the bush. We call it the bush up there,
mm,
not the forest.
yep.
Um, and so I used to go up, and I used to just uh, sit on this bluff and just look out on the bay, overneath over at the Nanabiju, the sleeping giant, across the water at the bay. And it was a beautiful day that day. And I remember just feeling very peaceful. And then I remember looking at a rock,
Mm,
and the rock, I thought to myself, that's really odd. That rock feels like me. When I look inside, I have this feeling of me. And I looked at
mm,
the rock felt like me. It just didn't feel like a, a rock outside of me. And then I said, well, that's interesting. I looked at a tree, and the tree felt like me. I thought to myself, what the heck's going on here? Like, the tree feels like me. And then I looked at the grass, and I felt what the grass felt like, and it felt like me. And then I looked out at the bay, and it was all me. It was all me. I just felt the unity of everything. And it wasn't like I disappeared into it. It was like it was myself. It,
Mm-hmm.
the
wow.
way it felt inside of me was the way it felt outside of me.
Mm-hmm. You
And
were one with it all.
I really didn't know what happened. I was one with it all. And, uh, I didn't know what the heck, because I'd never been involved in any sort of spiritual practice before. I didn't know what happened. I thought maybe this is an anomaly.
Mm-hmm.
And, I thought to myself, I don't know if I can tell my mom this. Like, what would my
Mm-hmm.
mom think if I told her I was God? Like, what,
Mm-hmm.
what would
So
she
Mm,
think?
I have to ask Russell, were you smoking
So,
anything?
I was thinking the same thing.
actually, what happened was I lost my desire to do any of that stuff, because
Mm-hmm.
I knew it could happen naturally.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't make a very good hippie. I'll tell you, I didn't make a very good hippie. Um, I was really pretty boring at parties, because I just didn't, I'd smoke, but it didn't it didn't approximate what I experienced. It's kind
Mm-hmm.
of my first introduction to spirituality. And then
Yeah.
I thought to myself, well, there's more than just, you know, what's going on outside of me. And
Yeah.
then I began to investigate. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. I honestly, I was
So
joking
I've had other
because
experiences since then. And
I was joking because, it sounds wonderful and it could happen under those circumstances. But I also know that it can happen for real. And that's an experience of enlightenment, one of many. So when we talk about enlightenment, one of many, um,
Yes.
it's like it's moments in our lives, right, where we have a sort of what Oprah used to term an aha moment. But we are spiritual beings having a human experience, so we don't live in that all the time. So many people think enlightenment is rare or reserved for a few. How would you reframe that?
Well, that's true. It isn't reserved for a few, and it happens in moments. And there's how might I say, different kinds of enlightenment. There's abiding enlightenment and non-abiding. So abiding is when the person is in it, in the experience of it for a longer period of time. Like, we look at Eckhart Tolle, and
Mm-hmm.
how he laughs is,
Mm-hmm.
and he's in it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas non-abiding is we have this experience like I had, right? But it didn't last. Uh, but the memory of it did. So it's the memory of it, that like
Mm-hmm.
it's like I experienced a fact, and
Mm-hmm.
and one of the things about enlightenment is it's it's an it's an obvious fact. It's a it's an authoritarian fact that you don't need to prove. It's just like that's it. That's the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
People could debate with me, and I'll say, well, you could debate with me, but it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't change. It's a
Mm-hmm.
fact.
For me, it's a sense of
So there's two
knowing.
types. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. It's that
yeah,
sense of knowing. I know this as the truth for
that's
myself.
right.
And if
It's a
nobody else believes
knowingness.
it, that's okay, right?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Carry on. Sorry.
yeah, yeah. There's about three things. Go ahead. There's about three things that happen in this. You could call it enlightenment. You could call it the unitive experience, awakening, illumination, samadhi. There's different terms for it, but we all know the label isn't it. Just like
Mm-hmm.
when you go into a restaurant, you order the menu. You don't eat the menu, you know, because the menu isn't it. It's just a description.
Right, right.
So there's three things that happen. It's three things that happen in awakening. So normally in our life, there's a certain separation. Like we observe things, and then there's that which is observed. There's we 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 observe our emotions, we observe our body, we observe these sensations, but then there is the witness. There's who is observing, and there's a
Mm-hmm.
there's a duality there. But in enlightenment, what happens is we go into unity. There's suddenly the observer and the observed become one.
Mm-hmm.
And there's three things that happen in that. One is there's that union that happens. And sometimes that only lasts for a fraction of a second. There's this union, and then there's a knowingness. You describe suddenly we know something that we didn't know before. We know it in a different way. We know it in a different way. It's
Mm-hmm.
solid. It's a solid knowingness, and then experience of the knowingness. So, okay, I had this experience on in Bay, and I suddenly knew I was everything. And then the
Mm,
experience of that came. It's like, wow, just open up to that. There's these
Mm-hmm.
three things that happen in enlightenment, and if one of them is missing, it's not. So, like, I could have a really wonderful, wonderful feeling. I could be meditating for 2 days and just go into bliss. But if there isn't a knowingness about what I experienced, it's not enlightenment. It's just bliss.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the union,
wow.
and then there's this what you call the knowingness. It's, oh, this is a fact of existence or self or life. And then there's this expansive feeling, and often the expansive feeling fades. it fades. And we go, oh God, I wish I could feel that way all the time. Oh, damn, I want it back. But it's the knowingness that stays. And that's what transforms our life, because our point of view of the way we see ourselves or life or others changes. And we're seeing things more from a reality than an unreality. So
It
that's
shifts
the
our perspective.
transformational aspect of it.
Yeah, it shifts our
Yes.
perspective. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, how would somebody who doesn't really have many discussions like we're having now recognize a moment of enlightenment in their lives?
Well, if they can use those three things that I mentioned, did I feel like something shifted in me? Was there a shift? Did I become aware of something that maybe I didn't know before, or maybe I realized it on a deeper level? And was there an expansiveness? And that often is the case when one can evaluate it with those three characteristics.
Okay.
But it might be that you might share it with somebody, like somebody that is open to it. Okay. Not somebody that says, oh, come on, you got to be kidding, enlightenment. Who do you think you are? Yeah.
So let's talk about
Or
the big
come
question.
to a community like this one.
I think I'm lagging here. My
Yes.
apologies. Does awakening solve all our problems? Does it mean that we're not going to have hardship?
Unfortunately not. Sorry, say that again.
I say, does it mean that we won't
Say that
have
again.
hardship in our lives?
Does it mean
we won't have hardship? Challenges?
No.
You won't have hardship in your life.
We're going to have hardship, unfortunately. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, sorry to disappoint you. It's like the guy who got enlightened. There was a guy who had an enlightenment experience in one of my workshops, and he went home and he was feeling really good, and he opened the door, and there was this pile of unfiled taxes in a big box. He said, they didn't go away. Darn it. But what will happen is with awakening or enlightenment or self-realization, there's a more solidness of our being that we establish. It's like, I know this is true about myself, and no matter what happens, that's always going to be there. Okay. So the truth is, if I could give you just a real quick definition, it's the way things actually are. Like if I could define it, the way things actually are, not the way we think they are, the way they actually are. And the quality of truth is it's that way all the time. So if I say, you can depend on my love, it's true love, they can depend on that being the way. So there's this sense of eternalness about oneself, so that one can face life not knowing that the things that maybe destroyed them before are not going to destroy them now. So what happens is a person can make more progress in their life because they have more kind of inner capacity to know that they're more enduring than what they thought they were before.
And more resilient, for sure.
So that's one of the outcomes of enlightenment. There's more resilience, yes.
Yeah. And I think that also comes
and
from...
so you can and also
from experience. So I've been through that. I survived that.
Go ahead.
So I know that I can, and I know that I will. And so the next time, it's
Yes.
not, it's not that it's not as bad. It's just that I know that this too shall pass. And I think that it also, what it
Yes.
allows us to do is respond differently when we have those moments of knowing.
Yeah.
I have two questions
Yeah.
for Russell.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
know what they were, but I was just thinking about that,
Go ahead.
how we learn to respond differently, and to understand that we are resilient.
So Russell, you were talking
Yes.
about
Yeah.
in being in
Yeah.
front of
Like,
I'm a Timmins
yep.
person, by the way. Yeah. So when you were on
Sorry.
the looking over the water, okay, when you were looking over the water
Yes.
and you became one with the water and whatever, and you talked about your mom, and so I had the impression that you were a you were a teen or a young man. So was that
Yeah.
so you had this experience a while back? And the other question is, they're probably separate. You spoke when I did the intro, the write-up said you had an injury of your back, and I'm not sure if that was a metaphor or an actual fact. So there you go. Two questions.
Well, yeah, that was, yeah, I was 18 at the time, 17 or 18. And yeah, that was kind of a metaphor, a joking metaphor that
Okay.
I sat at the feet of so many gurus that I ended up with having back pain. And really what I was saying there, it was that, uh, that this experience urged me to explore spirituality, having that experience because, okay, wow, I want to know more. So I went out and at that time there were a lot of gurus coming over from the East, and I would, go to their lectures and so forth. But the thing that occurred to me was because I had that experience, I kind of intuitively knew when a teacher would be speaking the truth from their own experience, or if it was coming from their head. And what I discovered, to, uh, uh, to be honest, was that I felt like a lot of the teachers were speaking from their education, somewhere they'd learned this and it came from their head. And uh, I just recognized it as dogma. And dogma is believing in something that you haven't experienced yourself. So I said, I was a dogmaholic, and I recovered when
Mm-hmm.
when I realized I could find the truth. What they were speaking about, I could experience for myself. I discovered that, and uh, so I became less dependent on, you know, finding, getting a catalog of great sayings and truths and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Reading lots of self-help books. I joked with myself that I read so many self-help books that I became self-helpless. Like you'd read half of one, then you'd find out another one. You read that one, you find out about another one, and you read another one. Then I got totally confused. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
yeah,
don't know. I have the same thing, but I think I don't know if it confused me, but it certainly helped me discern what it was that resonated with me or not. And
yes,
and that could be even in one book, something resonates and something else doesn't. And I was
yes,
always willing to just take what did and leave the rest behind.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
I tell people, I say, books are great as long as you can recognize, I don't know if I know that yet,
Hmm.
or, that confirms what I already know. And so I suggest people not to become critical, but to become, you know, uh,
Hmm.
concerning. And so just, okay, I don't know if that's true. Just, I'm going to set that on the shelf for now. I'm not going
Hmm.
to totally dish it,
Mm-hmm.
because maybe later, and what happens later when people do have these experiences, they think of, oh, I read that in that book, and that's what it's saying, like
Mm-hmm.
it resonates. You get it. I get it.
I would have to reread the book, Russell, quite honestly, because I won't remember what it said. But I hear what you're saying. I
Yeah.
have read books more than once, and every time I read it, I will see or understand something differently because we all
Hmm.
grow and we're not the same person. I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago, right?
Yeah,
So
that's
what I
right.
read today is going to have something maybe more meaningful or less,
Yeah.
either way, um,
Yeah.
for me. Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
good point.
Ditto that. I
Yeah. I
sometimes go,
remember
I read this?
person by Ramdas.
Yes,
Sorry. Whoop.
yes.
Yes, I remember I went to, I went to a lecture of his in Toronto, and I was sitting in the audience, and I go, what the heck is this guy talking about? I don't understand a word, you know. And and then a few years later, he came back, and I'd taken one of these retreats that I now offer called the Enlightenment Intensive, and I had this powerful experience. And then I went to see him again. I went, wow, I understand everything this guy is saying. Like, this guy's
Mhm,
brilliant. It was
mhm,
because I had this experience. I now understood
mhm,
what he's talking about. So yeah, you're right. It's our life experience. From our life experience, we can now understand something better, something
mhm,
um, more expansive
mhm,
that we read in the past. Yeah.
mhm, mhm. Mark, you're going to ask something
Um,
or say
no, I don't think so. I was just saying about, reading a book maybe 10 years ago that maybe I received information. And then if I read it now, I'm like, that doesn't resonate for me. Like, how did it resonate for me back then?
Mhm,
Because I've shifted somehow,
mhm,
not good, not bad, just shifted somehow, and I no
mhm,
longer believe it or
Yeah.
want to follow
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
mhm. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, maybe I could tell you a little bit about, if you have some time, about this more this method of self-inquiry that has helped me and helped many others.
Russell, we are coming to almost the half point of the show. So, how about we take a quick break
Ah, okay.
so that we don't have to interrupt you when you're doing that,
That sounds good.
um, and then
Yes.
come back and begin again with that. So,
Yes,
don't go away.
absolutely.
We'll be right back.
Sounds like a
Yeah,
great plan. Yeah.
to continue this wonderful conversation with Russell. And he's going to talk about the method that he teaches, I believe, about just getting to know who you are. So, again, don't go away. We'll be right back.
Having Courageous Conversations is proudly sponsored by Unity Kitchener. We are a welcoming spiritual community where open dialogue, personal growth, and authentic connection are encouraged. Join us Sundays at 10:30 a.m. Eastern for inspiration, reflection, and meaningful conversation. Learn more at unitykitchener.org. Unity Kitchener, a positive path for spiritual living.
Please help us say thank you to all of our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Center for Spiritual Living United Life, Sunshine Cathedral, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Universal Joy Center, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center, Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center. Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living, North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living, Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. On behalf of New Thought Media Network, thank you, and please like, share, and subscribe. Come expand your spiritual journey. Join us for Just the Talk, Sundays, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Experience Unity Kitchener and Ottawa. Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Unity of Garden Park, New Thought Philadelphia, the Sunshine Cathedral, Unity of Savannah, and the Om Center for Spiritual Living. Come unleash your spiritual potential with New Thought Media Network.
Yeah, New Thought Media Network, it's certainly growing. Seems to be having more people sponsoring and doing shows, and that's just wonderful, wonderful to see. So if you support this platform, please feel free to make a love offering so that this platform can continue serving in this way. So welcome back, and thank you, Russell, for all your sharing with us. But before we left, you were going to start telling us about a method. So I'm just going to hand it back to you and what this is about.
Yeah, so the method that I use, and by the way, I don't consider myself as a guru. I consider myself as more as a teacher of a technique. To me, that's a real guru. It's not a guru that's going to tell you what to believe.
Mm-hmm.
It's a guru that helps you get to experience what they have possibly experienced. So,
what does the word guru mean?
I lead this retreat. It's called guru means dispeller of light or dispeller of darkness.
Okay.
So a guru dispels the darkness in the student. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, how they do that is, is their technique, perhaps. So the retreat I do, it's done around the world. It's called the Enlightenment Intensive, but I call it the Coming Home Retreat because when people have these experiences, they feel like they've come home to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
There is this sense of being embodied more truly in their body. And it's a very human experience as well. It's not just something that you go off into the cosmos somewhere. It allows you to be more human and to fully experience your life. So there's a technique that I use that I've learned called assisted self-inquiry. It's also called a dyad. Dyad means two. And it's a combination of basically the Eastern technique of contemplating a question like, who am I? So it's a silent approach. But then what's added into this is more relational psychology. So it's communicating what the person is contemplating. So in the East, the Eastern methods are almost all silent methods where you contemplate silently. But this method is added more the psychological approach of relating. And so the way it works is you get two people sitting across from one another, and one person just listens. So we teach them to just listen compassionately, openly, without trying to change that person in any way. They just listen. And then they just give this question to the person across from them: tell me who you are. Or it might be, tell me what life is. Then that person goes into a contemplation like they would in the East. So they get a sense of themselves, a real sense. So it's not in their head. Like, what do they sense of themselves? So they might be just simply like, I'm sitting in the chair. I sense myself. So there's somebody there noticing you're sitting in a chair. So then they have this intention. I intend to know who this is. So you have this intention. Then you be open, like in, Eastern meditation, and you just let whatever come up come up.
Mm-hmm.
You're not trying to make anything happen. You're not trying to just push anything away. You're just being totally open. And then you notice what's there. And instead of just sitting with it, you communicate to your partner. You say, this is what's coming up for me. This is what I've realized about myself, without referring to their partner at all. There's certain agreements, like we don't judge one another. We don't try to change one another. And so that you communicate what came up with your partner, or your, when you asked that question. Now, the thing is that communication tends to empty the mind much more quickly than just sitting. Most people know that when they sit in meditation, there's this monkey mind that
Mm-hmm.
starts happening. Sometimes it's the gorilla mind, actually, you know, but when you communicate to your partner, what happens is that thought leaves the mind much more quickly than
Mm-hmm.
just sitting with it. And this goes on for 5 minutes both ways. So person listens for 5, receives the question for 5, and we build people up so that they can do this for 40 minutes each way. And and it's like this, the title of the show. These are courageous communications. These are authentic communications, and it turns out that if a person wants to know the truth, they do have to be real. You
Mm-hmm.
can't know something by being phony, right? So what happens is, as time goes by, people start to say what's really there for themselves, and they start letting go of their issues, their problems. Things start naturally dissolving, and they become more open. And at some point on the retreat, that enlightenment experience happens, and I'll tell you, it's remarkable. 60 to 75% of the people have these awakening experiences. And like I say, I've done 100 of these, and to me, it's still magic. Like it's still magic.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a
Is it?
modern technique. And
Are
it's
you
more
saying that
appropriate
you're
for
taking?
people in the West. Sorry, go ahead.
So are
Sorry.
you saying that you're taking the thoughts out of your head and verbalizing them to somebody that's sitting there just listening to you? So it's
Yes.
not staying there to chatter. You're verbalizing it, and so the person is
Yes.
receiving it, but not having to fix or whatever.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And so they're not only, emptying their mind, but they're learning some really important communication skills in this. They're learning how to listen and communicate. And if I
Mm-hmm.
could just add one thing, I think St. Thomas said something like, there's a book, uh, The Gospel According to St. Thomas, and apparently he wrote down some of the affirmations of Jesus. And apparently Jesus said that, when that which is within is shared without, that which is shared will heal us. If that which is within
Wow.
not shared without, that which is not shared will destroy us. So
Wow.
this is the principle. This is the
Mm-hmm.
principle of people come more alive
Mm-hmm.
because they're emptying their mind. They're letting go of.
Mm-hmm.
Often people will say things that they've never said to other people before, that they've held within, and it feels
Mm-hmm.
safe for them for the first time in their life.
Mm-hmm.
And so they'll leave the retreat feeling much more relieved. And if they're blessed, they can have this, what I call a direct experience. It's enlightenment experience. So that's
Mm-hmm.
the technique, and it's very powerful. People in the West like it because they don't have to go on, to India and meditate in a cave for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not putting that down, but that works
Mm-hmm.
too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what I'm hearing is that by verbalizing something, you're getting it out, and that's the healing part. But
That's
if you
right.
keep it within you, that can be very harmful.
Yes. Yeah,
That's, yeah.
I think we know that if we've had a difficult experience in our life and we hold it onto it, it goes into the body, and
Mm-hmm.
we may have you know physical symptoms from that. And but also people have had experiences where they've been upset, let's say, with a partner, with other people, and they sit down and then they talk about it, they let it out. There's a certain peace that happens.
Yeah.
They feel peaceful because I'm not only did I get it out, but here's
Mm-hmm.
the thing: I was understood. I
Mm.
was understood,
Mm-hmm. And I was in a
and
safe enough place to do that.
yes, yeah,
Mm-hmm. So, is there a difference between verbalizing something or writing it in a journal?
yeah. There
Good
really is a
question.
difference. There really is a difference. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
some, I think journaling is very important. But there is a difference between writing it in the journal and you witnessing, having it out loud and somebody else witnessing it
Mm-hmm.
and understanding it. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's not only understanding, but there's mutual understanding. So mutual understanding is like, I said apple,
Mm-hmm.
you understood apple, and
Mm-hmm.
I understood that you understood apple. That's a mutual understanding. So when that happens, it's like the thought that was in my mind, it's gone.
Mm. Yeah,
People will
I
look
would
around and
also
they'll go, what was
put
it I
it.
was thinking?
Yeah, I would put it down also to energy, right? The connection and the energy around people. Whereas journaling, you're just on your own, and you may have energy, but it's diminished compared to when you're with
Yeah,
others. And I would say probably journaling is a good start, to get
yes,
things out. And I understand that verbalizing something and having somebody else hear it is important.
It's
yeah. And
validating.
and, and here's something I think um, you know people in your church would understand, because I'm sure it's repeated a lot, is
Mm-hmm.
that thoughts have energy and
Mm-hmm.
consciousness has energy. And so where we put our attention, where our attention goes, energy flows. Like
Mm-hmm.
we know that. So imagine I'm a listening partner. I'm putting my attention on somebody who's inquiring. My energy is flowing to that person
Yes.
and adding to their ability to inquire. And that's like amazing and magic, when you see
Mm-hmm.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so that kind of supercharges the whole. I say sometimes it puts
Experience.
self-inquiry on steroids. You know, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, people, there's no forcing. That we don't force people to say anything, as
No.
long as they're not talking about the other person or evaluating them, um, or kind of coming on to them in any way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, that it's all allowed.
Mm-hmm. So, how many people normally are in your retreats?
Anywhere from 12 to 24 people are on the
Mm-hmm.
retreats, and I do them at a place called the Ecology Retreat Center. You may have heard of the Ecology Retreat Center. I don't know. It's in Hockley Valley. It's a very beautiful part of Ontario near Orangeville.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and uh, there have been so many retreats there. I actually used to run that retreat center,
Mm-hmm.
and there's been so many retreats there that you just walk onto the property and you automatically feel calmer and energized. So I use that, and it's going to be in the mid-May, which is when all the trout lilies and the
Mm-hmm.
trilliums are out and all the leaves are sprouting.
Mm-hmm.
It's a perfect
Beautiful.
time to,
Yeah.
yeah.
It sounds beautiful. So people can obviously find out more on your website.
Yeah, they can find out more on my website. There's um, at the top, there's what do you call it? There's a banner, and then it says retreats on there. You can click on there, and you can read more about it. Yeah.
Wonderful,
And
wonderful.
usually, what I do is, if people are interested, we do an interview. I do an interview with people. I want to make sure that it's a fit for people, so
Mm-hmm.
I explain everything that's involved, and what they need to bring and leave at home.
Mm-hmm.
And so then, we decide together if this is something that the person would benefit by. If it's not, I'll usually recommend something else for them.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to do a sales job on people. It's not like
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to twist your arm and then you go there and you find out, oh, I thought this was a smoking sensation weekend. Believe me, I did have that once.
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
come from Enlightenment. I came to stop smoking.
yeah. So I love that earlier you mentioned that laughter is part of your retreats. Tell us why humor is so important on the spiritual path.
That's a great question. Let me contemplate that. I almost feel like laughing when you ask me
Mm-hmm.
that question.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it helps us be not so serious. Like it's the opposite of serious, and
Mm-hmm.
we can get so serious, like we can almost turn to stone.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I got one in one of my songs. I wrote that. Sometimes I get so serious, I almost turn to stone. We can get so hard on ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
and the world is so serious these days. It's really, and so I think there are times where we have to laugh. And one of the things that I appreciate about the indigenous people is, despite all the trauma they've had, they laugh a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a way to not succumb to uh, our difficulties in life.
Mm-hmm.
That laughter is they say it's a medicine. I think it's a medicine,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
we need more.
Listen.
We need more of
Yeah,
it.
we
Yeah.
do. Absolutely. Yeah, I think it releases a lot of tension in us as well, which is what you're saying. We're very hard on ourselves. And so it releases a lot of tension. So if there was one thing you would want people to know about who they truly are, what would that be?
Good question. I would say that in our true nature, we're perfect. We
Mm-hmm.
don't need improvement. And this is a big thing for a lot of people. They're so down on themselves. They think they need to be improved. And, the paradox of self-improvement is the more I self-improve, the more it reinforces the fact that I need self-improvement.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then this comes from, many traditions, that the self is perfect. It's pure. It's lovable. The true self doesn't need improvement. What does need improvement? And when people get this, they realize, oh God, I'm fine. I'm fine the way I am. I'm okay. I'm perfect. There's nothing inherently wrong with my true self, who I really am.
Mm-hmm.
But what needs improvement is our ability to be ourselves in life.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like finding the right relationships, finding the right community, finding the right work, finding our purpose in life, all of the, finding out how I can communicate in a way that, I can get myself authentically across and I can receive others.
Mm-hmm.
So all of that needs improvement.
Mm-hmm.
All of that's consciousness work. But the self, which is the center of it all, doesn't need it. It doesn't need any improvement.
Mm-hmm.
And that's such a great relief for people
Yeah.
to realize
Unity.
what does need improvement.
Yeah. And unity teaches that the truth of who we are is perfect, whole, and complete. I think,
Yes.
and that, there's one power, one presence everywhere, and we are unique expressions of that. So we are having an
Yes.
experience, which is maybe unique to each other, but we're all connected in some way. And so
Yes.
what appears on the outside is not always the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. Carl Sagan says, we are the means by which the universe experiences
Yes.
itself.
Yes, I totally
We
believe
are
that.
the means by which the universe experiences itself. So every one of us is involved in this grand project
Mm-hmm.
of contributing to the conscious uplifting of the consciousness of the universe. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I sometimes call it the you and I verse,
Mm-hmm.
the you and I
Yeah,
verse.
that's
And
lovely.
so, and this is, and the thing is, how does that consciousness expand? It expands by relating with one another. You know, like I relate to you, I relate to people that are hearing me. They're becoming more aware, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and 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 so the technique we use on this retreat is a microcosm of what's going on in the universe.
Yeah.
One to one relating. It's our, we're involved in this grand relationship, um, where each
Mm-hmm.
one of us is God,
Mm-hmm.
and we're all part of that God.
Mm-hmm.
And you're God, I'm God. I mean, it's I think in the East they call it Leela, which means the dance of God.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we're
Yeah,
all involved in this together, and to kind of
absolutely.
get this at a deep level really changes your life.
Yeah.
You really see what's important in life. It's not making $1 million, or that would be great,
Yeah.
but it's what goes on between us.
Yeah.
That's the fulfillment in life. That's
And
the
we are
fulfillment.
mirrors. We are mirrors for each other. So it's not, there is that connection, and there's also the growing points that we have the opportunity from being in relationship with each other. Yeah.
Yeah,
We were
that's right.
saying earlier
Yeah.
about reading a book and taking something away from it, and maybe years down the road revisiting the book and getting a new message or whatever. I'm finding this conversation and what Cheryl was saying about unity's belief and what you've brought forward, Russell, there is more of an aha there. It's brought the message of unity into aha, that's yeah, I can feel it now, like I can resonate with it more. It's I've heard the message a number of times, but
Hmm.
it's just resonating
Mm-hmm.
uh, at this moment.
Yeah.
At this moment.
Oh,
There's
thank you for sharing
yeah.
that, Mark. That's wonderful.
I'm so glad. So glad.
Mm-hmm.
So glad. That makes me that makes me laugh. There is in I think it's Hinduism. I call it the Indra's net. You might want to Google it. Indra's net. Indra's net is it's like this universal net, like a fishing net, and at each intersection of the net is a jewel, and each jewel reflects all the other jewels in the
Yeah.
net. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
not only are we individual, but we're universal at the same time.
Yes, absolutely.
It's a beautiful image. Called
Yeah, that's a
Indra's
wonderful
net. Yeah.
analogy. A wonderful analogy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is one simple way do you think someone can actually begin to reconnect with their true nature today and every day?
Um, well, let me see. You, I think if a person can remember a time when they truly felt like themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it would be on a beach somewhere, or maybe during a talk, and they felt they felt like whole. They felt like truly themselves. And
Mm-hmm.
then throughout their life, uh, just remember that I call that self-remembering. It's called practicing the presence in some traditions, some non-duality folks do that. Um, or just asking this question: Who am I? Who's noticing this?
Mm-hmm.
Who's noticing my experience? There's there's a When you start doing that, you become very curious.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's a witness here. Now, I want to dispel something. We're not the witness, because if we notice, the witness is being witnessed by another witness, and
Mm-hmm.
it goes on and on. So
Yeah. Yeah.
who's witnessing here? Who's
Yeah.
witnessing this experience is
Yeah.
another way. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that
So
that
just
takes us
spending a
close.
little bit of time in contemplation, I think, is what I'm hearing. Just spend
Yeah.
a few minutes a day just going into contemplation and sitting with some of those questions, that might even create more questions, which
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah. I think being, reversing our focus in life to being, sometimes, because
Mm-hmm.
in life we're in this situation in life where I call it the have to be world. Have
Yeah.
to be. We want to have things because we think they'll make us happy. Then we have to do a lot of stuff to get it. And
Yeah.
then we leave our being till, I don't know
Yeah.
when, the end of our life.
Yeah.
Um, and so if we can reverse that every once in a while during the day, and let go
Mm-hmm.
of having and doing, and
Mm-hmm.
just be,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
notice
Yeah.
that, and that's where the true contentment comes from.
Yeah.
Everything
Beautiful.
else is transitory.
That's a beautiful
Yeah.
practice. So I'm going to leave with with a thought, and I'm going to invite you all to share something if you have something to share, and that is that perhaps awakening isn't about becoming something more or something outside of ourselves, but remembering what has already been present within us and remembering who we are. And so, one of my mentors says, if you don't go within, you go without. So, Mark,
It's
do
a
you
good
have
one.
anything you'd like to share?
Um, I just, yeah, I'm left with a lot of thoughts. And yeah, I think I'll be watching this show again to hear more of what you had to say. And perhaps there's a book in my future. I just
The,
want to say
the,
thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
yeah,
Russell,
the
one
book will
last
explain
thought.
the whole process. Sorry, go ahead.
One last thought as we come to the end of the show.
One last thought, put me on the spot. Um, um, I often use this kind of as my mantra, which is beautifulness. And if you separate that, it means be you to fullness.
Oh, that's
And
beautiful. Beautiful.
yeah, so I
Yeah.
would get people to contemplate that. What is it that's going to help me be who I really am to the
Yeah.
fullness?
I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. So thank you. It's actually been an hour, if you can believe it. We're so grateful, Russell, to have you on as our guest. All these wonderful things we've been discussing. I would encourage people to share with other people. And please like, share, and subscribe so that we can grow and more people can hear from the wonderful guests that we share on this show on Thursdays at 3:00. So until next week, have a wonderful week and ciao for now.
So thank you again, Russell, and stay on,
Oh,
and we'll
yeah.
chat behind the scenes.
Okay.